Well, I got a message, and he put it on his
Yeah.
diagnostic machine, and it said random cylinder
Yeah.
misfire. And he said, Kim, I don't know which one it is.
And he ain't
said,
about
I went out there. It was pretty
and
nice.
you do that
I went
really
towards the
to
very end.
a garage,
Yeah,
you know.
it was.
Yeah, it gets tougher every
Yeah,
year to
took
hang
hours
with
off.
them though.
Trying it.
Did you?
Yeah, I had two grandkids. I'm like, right.
And he said,
One said, I'm not going unless I get to ride in
You know,
something.
so
I
he
said,
said,
I
I'll
don't know
tell you
about
what, I'm
that. And
gonna
then
do
they talked me
Everybody
into
ready?
it once we
Good.
got out there.
Is your, set your tasers to
Tonight.
stun?
you know.
Cambridge City Council now be in session. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Evancho.
Here,
Hill.
Here.
Loffman.
Here.
McMillan.
Here.
Mauer.
Here.
Wolverton.
Here.
Zaleski.
Here.
Reading of the minutes. Mr. Wolverton
I make a motion, we dispense reading minutes, place on file, please.
and Ms. McMillan.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion is granted. Mayor's report. Mayor Orr.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's good to see everybody here. Weather kind of turned the other way for us a little bit, nice. Sudden storms on Friday night knocks out the football games, and then they start playing anyhow. But going to get a little hot by Wednesday, and of course, it's Fair Week. Usually it rains on Fair Week, so I don't know.
Wish it would.
The rain dance I tried a couple weeks ago, it didn't work, so. Number one on your list, request from the police department to appropriate a $500 check from the village of Byesville to equipment. Two, request from the engineer to create a housing council. Three, request from the fire department to accept BWC grant for firefighters exposure in the amount of $12,514.27.
Okay, request 1 and 3 will be referred to the Finance Committee, and number 2 will be referred to the council as a whole.
Thank you, Council President. I do have a few little things on the side here, and again, no apparent order, but just the way it came to my mind, I ran out of room writing them in. In the downtown, most of you know this, it's been going to Main Street and different things, but we have three businesses that are bubbling, getting ready to try to do some things over the next 6 to 8 months, get things started. One will be at the old Ford Garage, one's right down below us here where the Schaefer Insurance Building was. It's gonna take a while, but they got some really, really nice plans. And the people who took over the Jeffersonian Building has fired a shot telling us they're getting ready to start here shortly, so. Well, they do, I probably shouldn't have said that, that means another 2-month wait, but they're coming. So, and that's good news, because we hear plenty of some of the other things sometimes. Tidbits of information, the water supply, I just wanted to hit that for a second. Our reservoir is standing firm, looks good out there, had a report from the water department through the engineer. Along with, just so you know, Seneca Lake backs us up. Since I've been mayor, we've only used that twice. And hypothetically, I mean, we're flirting with it a little bit out there, but it is there should we need it. We have a good working relationship with the watershed. The creek is extremely low. There's some signs that we've never seen before, but again, we're holding pretty good. Now, our neighbors to both sides of us are really cutting back on some water things, so we're right behind. A couple of weeks, if this would continue, we have got a couple sudden showers, but we're so far behind the 8 ball, it's pitiful. Really don't know where this thing's trying to go, but it's not been a fun summer that way. So, but we're monitoring it, and again, there is a burning ban in our county, and that includes Cambridge now, and so we got to be real careful there, because it is pretty crispy out there, and we don't need any accidents to make a big scene. I just want to mention this, Patriot Day, 9/11 is fastly coming, and I just want to read this. 3 months after 2001 terrorist attacks, the Congress approved a joint resolution designating September 11 as Patriot Day. Every year we pause to remember the lives lost and changed that autumn morning. The resolution requested each year the President issue a proclamation calling on the American people the state and local governments to observe the day with appropriate activities. Those include remembrance services, candlelight vigils, moments of silence, and the flying of the U.S. flag at half-staff. We're lucky or unlucky enough, depending on how you look at it, we have that metal beam that came from the towers. I'm just telling you, I'll be personally there at 8:46. I'll be there before that, but at 8:46, the first tower was hit. 9:03, the second was hit. I'm just, for those that would be stopped up, if any of them want to meet, we'll just have a moment of silence and move on. We're not going to make a big production out of it, but we are going to mark the moment. I've instructed the safety director to issue that we will lower our flags at half-mast here, the cemetery, the parks. That what we control. Again, I can't speak for everybody else, but I read into that a little bit, and I saw a documentary over the weekend, and
Yeah.
that's sad. That was sad. And you know what? We get busy in our lives, and we do forget. We forget a little bit. We can say what we want to, but we do. And we try to put part of us, we shut it off because we want to move on. I get that, but we just need to pause. So with that said, I just want to throw that out there. Again, I mentioned it's Fair Week. When the county goes, it takes the city with it. Lots of people run around, kids, support 4-H. That's a huge endeavor. Do the best you can. I understand there's a special pass right now. You can pay to get in, go get the fair food, come back out, and they'll give you the money back. So I don't check it out on their website. I'm saying I'm not into all that. But I mean, when you look at some of the challenges, some people don't want to ride the ride, so we'll go from there. I probably stepped in it somewhere, but, you know, I do the best I can.
I just told Donna.
Over the weekend, I was instructed there was a fly-in out at the airport. And, you know, let's face it, I've not been the airport's favorite child sometimes. I mean, I try hard, but we got a city to run here, and they're involved in it. But I went out there, and I just want to say kudos to everybody involved in that. A couple of the councilmen was out there, and it was just impressive. And talking to Ron Guthrie, who'd been to all of them, he said he thinks it really was the biggest one he'd ever saw. They put some things in there that never was done before. The gladiator thing drew a heck of a crowd. I'm hoping we'll get more involved with that maybe going forward. And then the helicopter rides, I'm not stealing anyone's thunder, but there was one of you that was in that, so I'll just leave it at that. But it was just really kind of a neat thing. And to see the people recognizing, just rejuvenating some contacts there. So that was nice, and kudos to those. I don't have the full report yet, but leaves and debris, because things are starting to shift. We do have the compost area open, very limited. The residents can call Street Garage and find out if you have bag stuff ahead of time. It shouldn't be that time yet, but we'll be there real quick, I think. And it'll be the same schedule we use every year, but I will formally bring a schedule to you and hand it to you, but it's the same one we used last year, so. As far as the rotation, and they'll go from there. Any questions about anything the city stick program, leaves, time and temperature, whatever you can call my office, or call the street department, or any of that kind of stuff. And on a side note, I've been having little meetings with some different individuals with some challenged properties in town. We know where they're at now, and we've kind of decreased the numbers. We got some earmarked for the land bank, and we're simply waiting for a check to show up so we can get on it. But we have some other ones in the downtown, a couple areas where we're going to formally have another sit-down meeting with the owners and try to find a way, you know, what's your game plan? We're going to push this a little bit more. And I'm just going to throw it out there because it's the truth. If this continues to be delayed, we'll have to go to court. I've tried not to take people, you know, just like we all know each other. But some of these windows got to be tightened up. Things are starting to fall off and maybe hit us. And that liability is seriously on them. Yeah, we'll get thrown in it too. But anyhow, can't get blood out of a turnip. And if you can't, you need to sell it, donate it, do something. But we got to move on. So I know you guys, how you feel and different. And we're loving and understanding to a point, but some of this stuff's got to go. So, and then last but not least, this really doesn't pertain to Cambridge Central, but it does. I received an email 6 o'clock Friday last week, and it just gave, when the leasing, what the request is for Salt Fork. By statute, 30% of the money from the leasing, which has been a touchy subject, both sides, but 30% of that money would be requested for Salt Fork and remodeling, and fixing the lodge and bringing it. It's the last lodge to be addressed in their system. And basically, the document I hold in front of me would deploy almost $20 million to the beach and the lodge, and like $3.6 million in road repairs. And when you just see what's going on there and what's already happened at Seneca Lake, they're gonna put a splash pad here as well as down there, in partnership with what we got going on. It's a nice quality of life thing. So I guess I'm rooting for them in some way if we're gonna do that kind of crazy stuff. Hopefully some of that money stays home, so. And that would help boost our hotel tax, which always helps pay some of our bills. So, whatever. But anyhow, anybody has any questions, Council President?
Any
That's all.
questions of the mayor this evening? Ms. McMillan?
Actually, a couple things, Mary. I kind of want to touch on your Patriot Day mention. I don't know if you're aware of, but I know some council members are. The Cambridge Middle School has put in flags representing every life lost on 9/11. I drove out by yesterday while they were working on it, and I want to tell you, it wasn't done, and it took my breath away. It is now done, and it is displayed through September 11th. So if anybody has a chance,
Awesome.
public, drive out by.
Yeah, I absolutely will. I was out there for the cross-country Saturday, and I didn't go up on the knoll on the
Yeah,
other
go up
side.
on the hill, drive right by the middle school. It's, like I said, they weren't even done, and it basically took my breath away when I knew what they were doing.
Great
So
information.
in relation to yours,
Thank you.
Patriot Day. And I just have a question. They were working on the south side last week. I don't know what, chip and seal or whatever they're doing to the road. putting that- Ceiling. Is there any way that we could get a schedule of that? Because we did get some calls and things, why didn't they let us know? Well, yeah, they erected signs that said no parking. I get that. But then there were roads that were closed. When we get these calls, and I can't say,
Yeah.
I'm not
Well,
sure.
here's how it plays out. I had the list, I gave it to you guys early on, what was going to, but once the contractor gets them, they can come and go when they want to.
Okay,
And quite honestly, they don't even call us. Now, they're done, the ceiling is done.
okay,
They are to come back and do the lines and all
Okay.
that. And I heard from Nick today, that's pending, and just like the stripe, all of a sudden you'll see them show up at the truck on the day they can work it into their schedule.
okay. Well, that's good to know. That way, at least we can say.
But it is forthcoming, more stuff to brighten it up and, get the lines put back.
Okay. And the bridge, the lights look amazing on the bridge.
Yeah,
And the
they-
steps.
Well,
and-
that's another perfect example. Those lights at the time they opened the bridge, we had no lights. They weren't even shipped here yet. And they told us it would be every bit of 6 months before they delivered
Oh, my
the
gosh.
product. It wasn't even, 3 months, and they're putting them up, which was a good thing.
Yeah.
And I've learned just to zip it and go with the flow, because at the end of the day, it needs done, and it's a positive change. But thanks for bringing
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, thanks, Mayor.
it. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go try that again, Bill. We'll go to communications.
I have a request from the city auditor, request to liquidate appropriations to account number 01020560 totaling $560,000, and request to appropriate $560,000 to Fund 129, which is the one-time strategic community investment grant. Connor can explain this more fully next week, but we found out on Friday that the grant that we got for the fire department, initially, we were told it was gonna be a reimbursable grant, which is why he had to have the money in the one line item, but then we found out Friday, oh no, it's really not, we're gonna give it to you in one lump sum. So we have to kind of undo what we've done, so that's what this request is all about. Which is actually a good thing, that it's not reimbursable, but it's like, they told us 3 different things 3 different times, so.
Mr. Vancho,
Motion to refer to Finance Committee.
Mr. Hoffman,
Second the motion.
all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion is granted. Next, please.
I have a request for an alley vacation on Marietta Avenue.
Mr. Wolverton,
Motion to refer to City Services.
And Mr. Mauer,
Second the motion.
all in favor of that motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and that motion is granted. Next, please.
I have the annual request that is from the county's Budget Commission where we have to accept the amounts and rates that have been determined, and this has to be done before October 1st.
Mr. Vancho,
Motion to refer to Finance Committee.
Mr. Overton,
I'll second that motion.
all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, that motion is granted. Next, please.
I have the minutes from the zoning and planning hearing of August the 28th.
Mr. Loffman,
Motion to accept and place on file.
Ms. Millen,
Second the motion.
all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and that motion is granted. Next, please.
I have a monthly report from municipal court.
Ms. Hill,
Motion to accept and place on file.
Mr. Zaleski,
Second.
all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and that motion is granted. Next, we'll move on, I guess. Since you're folding the folders up.
Close that
Reports,
book, open the next one.
reports of committees.
Report of City Services Committee, September the 2nd. We recommend that City Council authorizes the Rotary Club to solicit funds for World Polio Day on October 18th.
Any questions of the committee on that report? Next, please.
Report of Finance Committee, September the 2nd. We recommend that the following transfers and appropriations be approved. Appropriate $8,653.85 to community development salaries. Transfer $37,180.83 from police retirement benefits to salaries. Appropriate $100,957.20 to safe routes to schools. Appropriate $20,000 from unappropriated Northwood Cemetery endowment to Northwood Cemetery endowment. Transfer $560,000 from public lands and buildings capital improvement to general fund miscellaneous capital improvements. Appropriate $1,350 to park user fee fund.
Any questions of the committee on that report? Next, please.
Report of Finance Committee, September the 2nd. We recommend that City Council authorize the city auditor to seek authorization of the Auditor of State to establish a new fund in the city of Cambridge. Said fund will be for the purpose of paying economic and community development contractors.
Any questions of the committee on that report? Okay, we'll move on to unfinished business. Seeing nothing, we'll go to the audience portion. We have Scott Elliott from the fire department. Good to see you, Scott.
Good to see you all again. Good evening. Those of you that don't know, I'm Scott Elliott. I'm an assistant chief of the Cambridge Fire Department. The chief had a soccer game tonight, so he asked me to show up to council in his presence. Give you all a report on where we're at 30 days in with EMS. As you all know, we started providing EMS service at 0700 hours on August the 1st. Since then, we have done 235 calls. That was in the month of August in 31 days. 235 EMS calls. 200 of those calls were in the city. 35 were in Cambridge Township, and 1 was out of district. We ended up going to Byesville for a difficulty breathing that none of the county squads would respond on, so they didn't have the staffing for them, so we took that call. That's kind of out of our realm. We're trying to keep our squads staffed and inside Cambridge City and Cambridge Township, but obviously if someone needs assistance, we're going to go. We've spoken with our billing representative, and she's advised us that money is starting to trickle in from the calls that we have done so far. She said she was pleased with that. That money normally only comes in 60 to 90 days after you start billing, so getting money within a 30-day window is very good. Expects more of a turnaround maybe in November or December. More money's going to start trickling in. Our 6 new personnel are all working out very well. They found their places. We've shuffled a few around here and there. We have 2 that are in paramedic school. One is on my shift, Erin Galbraith. The other is Sydney Reagan. She's on crew 2. She's the day before me. They actually go to school on crew 1 days, which would be tomorrow. So they did some changes in their shifts to make it more, have a little more time off to do their schoolwork and study so they could go the next days. we're still a little cramped in the station, but we spoke there a minute ago. We have some money coming in. The plans are getting finalized for our station renovation, which we desperately need. And just giving us those separate restroom facilities and different places for people to maybe have their own personal space inside the station is going to be very nice. We appreciate all you're doing for us. We appreciate your patience. And I'm sure you're all anxious to hear what's going on up there. And like I said, anybody has any questions, you're welcome to ask, not just the chief, but me or any of the other assistant chiefs or officers or anybody should be able to give you an answer on anything you need to know. So if you have any questions, here's your chance.
Any questions of Assistant Chief Elliott? Mr.
Yes, Scott, as far as actual construction goes, timeline, could you just update us and I know you can't hold a contractor to anything on that.
So we're going to the bid process. I think we've finally gotten the plans all approved right now. I know the chief had to come up and sign off on a variance for our fence that was going on the side of the building. But from what the architect has told us, I believe it was 4 to 6 months for the street, the building across the street at 919, the old Smith Glass building, which is going to be the first one that's renovated. So 4 to 6 months. And then our administrative offices will move across the street and move into there and vacate the 2 administrative offices that are in the station. Those will have a center wall torn down in those, and that'll become an officer's bunk area. So the captains and assistant chiefs will actually be in that area, and that'll get our new people out of bunk beds, which, you know, nobody wants to sleep in a bunk bed. I don't want to sleep in the top bunk bed at all. But we're gonna get them all out of their bunk beds, and they'll all be in their own private spaces back there. And we're trying to do some stuff to, whether it's curtains or dividers or whatever, to make private spaces. But it's an ever evolving process, and it's not linear. There's bumps. So I mean, we're gonna figure this out, and everybody up there is an adult, and we're all adults, and we can handle this. I mean, it's going to be tough when we get portable restrooms and have to go outside to use the restroom and get a shower, but I mean, you know, it's something we have to deal with to have progress. So, anything else?
Anybody? Okay, thank you, sir.
I will have the chief email this to Sharon so you guys can look at it and take a peek at it. There's just a breakdown of everything. We actually did 88 non-transports, and that's not just us going and talking somebody out of going to the hospital. These are people that fall, no injury, lift assists, and we do a lot of that stuff, And we're never going to talk anybody out of going to the hospital, but sometimes people just don't want to go. I wish we could transport everybody, because that makes even more revenue for the program, but unfortunately, that's part of it. So. And he's got this broken down to ALS and BLS calls, so and there's different billing rates for those, and depending on what we do, so.
I did
But
have-
I will have that emailed to Sharon, and you all can have a copy of that.
Mr. McMillan?
Scott, you had mentioned when we were talking before the meeting, our squads are handling most of the calls now.
100%. In the first 31 days, we actually, in that 31 days, I believe we had 1 call that we were not able to handle in the city, that we had to call an outside squad to come in. And that was one of our big selling points, was we will have our own squad and we will handle our own stuff in the city. And I believe Councilperson Hill, it said to me that she hadn't heard a lot of the sirens from Castle Station in New Concord, because they are very discernible. They have the train horns and they have the Federal Q siren, and I mean, they just hang on that thing like it's. Yeah, but as you know, you don't hear it, and that's because we're handling all of our own business now. So, and we're proud of that.
Absolutely.
I know there's been a few times where we've kind of been overrun, and Medic 2 ends up going out and taking some calls and stuff like that, and that's staffed with fire suppression personnel. So we end up calling people in, so it kind of dings our overtime up a little bit. But that's how we handle that. There's one other thing I was going to tell you about that. I forget. I lose my train of thought all the time. But yeah, it's been busy. There's been days that there's been 2 calls. There's been days that there's been 17 calls. And 17 call days are not fun, but we get it done. So, like I said, I'm just happy to be here. And I'm glad this is working out and it's taken off running, so. Appreciate your time. If anybody has anything else, I'll try and provide an answer. If I don't know, I'll try and find out somewhere else, so.
All right, thanks, sir.
Thank you, Scott.
I'm going to eat dinner.
Thanks, Scott.
Okay, new business. Anything under new business? If not, we'll go to ordinances and resolutions.
An ordinance of transfers and appropriations.
Mr. Vancho,
Motion to suspend.
Mr. Loffman,
Second to suspend.
roll call on the suspension, please.
Wolverton?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Mauer?
Yes.
Zaleski?
Yes.
McMillan?
Yes.
Evancho?
Yes.
Loffman?
Yes.
Ms. Hill,
Motion to pass.
Ms. Mauer,
Second motion?
any discussion? Roll call, please.
Loffman?
Yes.
Evancho?
Yes.
Wolverton?
Yes.
McMillan?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Zaleski?
Yes.
Mauer?
Yes.
That ordinance is declared adopted. Next, please.
An ordinance authorizing the Rotary Club to solicit funds.
Mr. Wolverton,
Motion to dispense, place on file. Oh, I'm sorry.
You pulled a Kogel.
Motion to suspend. Lost my train of thought.
all right. It's easily done. I can vouch for
I
that.
knew as soon as I said it, I was like,
So we had a motion to suspend. And Ms. McMillan,
I'll second that motion to suspend.
roll call on the suspension, please.
McMillan?
Yes.
Zaleski?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Mauer?
Yes.
Loffman?
Yes.
Evancho?
Yes.
Wolverton?
yes.
Ms. Hill,
Motion to pass.
Mr. Loffman,
Second to pass.
any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mauer?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Zaleski?
Yes.
Wolverton?
Yes.
Evancho?
Yes.
McMillan?
Yes.
Loffman?
Yes.
And that ordinance is declared adopted. Next, please.
An ordinance authorizing the city auditor to seek permission from the state auditor to establish fund.
Mr. Vancho,
Motion to suspend.
Mr. Zaleski,
Second to suspend.
roll call on the suspension, please.
Hill?
Yes.
Evancho?
Yes.
McMillan?
Yes.
Loffman?
Yes.
Mauer?
Yes.
Wolverton?
Yes.
Zaleski?
Yes.
Mr. Mauer,
Motion to pass.
Mr. Loffman,
Second to pass.
any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mauer?
Yes.
Zaleski?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
McMillan?
Yes.
Wolverton?
Yes.
Evancho?
Yes.
Loffman?
Yes.
And that ordinance is declared adopted. Miscellaneous, Mr. Vancho.
Yes, sir. Finance Committee will meet next Monday on September 16th at 4:30.
And council as a whole will, yes, Donna? Did you ever hand it?
Yes, I did.
Oh, sorry.
City services will meet at 4:45 or thereafter, finance.
Okay.
And
then,
legislative will meet at 5 o'clock or immediately following city services.
council whole will meet at 5:55.
5:15.
You know me.
5:55, we gotta sit around and wait till then.
I know how long legislative discussion could be going on with what they got to deal with right now, so, no, 5:15, or immediately following legislative. Okay, anything else? Okay, seeing nothing, Mr.,
The motion we adjourn.
okay, we're adjourned.
Except we're gonna be missing 2 council members, so it may not go that long. Kim's not gonna be here and Tim's not gonna be here.
Did you hear anything as to why?